Students, today we're gonna bang Ladesh, and my name is Ladesh. Today we're gonna be doing a Dramagi deck profile. So yeah, let's get on to the deck profile. This is your buddy, obviously. So starting off, we're gonna be playing just 3 copies of the DD Gargantua Dragon Ribi. This is your main monster. Basically during your turn, call this card on top of a drag from the soul of a Dragon by paying its call cost. During each place DG Evo, during each place attack phase, call up to one monster with both Dragon and DD Dragon Tribe from your hand on or your drop on top of this card without paying its call cost, and it only activates once per turn. Really strong card, and it combos with a lot of G Evo modes that Garga has. So we play 3 copies of it. Next we play 2 copies of DD Gargantua Dragon dual mode. This is one of your main GG Evo monsters. Basically, when this card is attacking alone, damage dealt cannot be reduced. Then with this card into the field, if all DD Dragon Tribe on your field get power plus 10,000, then if entered by G Evo, discard the 2 cards on your opponent's field and draw 2 cards with move, penetrate, double attack, soul guard, and counter attack. A really strong G Evo mode for Garga. So we play 2 copies of E dual mode. Next, we play 2 copies of Gargantua Blade Mage. This is a really old mode for Garga, but yet a still really strong mode for Garga. When you cast a spell to strong monster on opponent's field, okay. At the end of this battle, with this card is attack, if a soul with G Evo in the field, you may put 6 spells with different card name from your drop zone on the bottom of your deck in any order, and if you do, deal 5 damage to your opponent. A really basic effect damage dealer and a way to recycle your deck faster. So we play 2 copies of Gargantua Blade Mage. Next, we only play just 1 copy of Gargantua Dragon's charging mode. This is to replenish your gauge and your life. When this comes to the field, put the top 2 cards of the deck into your gauge, and if entered by G Evo, charge one more additional gauge, and then you gain 1 life and draw a card. So we only play 1 copy of Gargantua Dragon charging mode. Next, going to the smaller monsters, we play 3 copies of Transmitter Magic Magidog. This is your draw. This is basically your monster for your draw. When it's counter to the field, you may draw a DD Dragon Tribe from your hand. If you do, charge 1 gauge and draw 2 cards. A really basic monster for Dramagi, and you may only call a Transmitter Magidog once per turn. So we play 3 copies of the Magidog. Next, moving on to the spells, we play 3 copies of Radiant Combat DD's Glory. This is your counter call spell for Garga or G Evo, or any G Evo in a sense. You may pay 1 gauge G Evo, call up to 1 DD Dragon Tribe monster from with Gargantua and its current name from your on top of a Dragon monster on your field without paying its call cost. And for this turn, it gets defense plus 5k and power and defense plus 5k. So it is essentially a counter call for your Garga on top of your modes, so you can combo with a bunch of other monsters. So you play 3 copies of Radiant Combat DD's Glory. And moving on, we play 2 copies, just 2 copies of Nice One. It is a really basic Magic World draw spell, a staple for all Magic Worlds. Essentially, is basically just pay 1 gauge and you draw 2 cards, and you really cast Nice One once per turn. Really basic draw spell for Magic World. So we play 2 copies of Nice One in the deck. Next, we play 3 copies of the Examinate. This is your Dramagi filter. This is basically your look top 3, put 1 hand and put 1 card amount from your hand and drop the rest, and you gain 1 life. And it's a counter too. So we play 3 copies of Examinate. Really strong filter card for Dramagi. Next, we play another filter card called Sephiroth's Lecture. We play 3 of. So this is basically another filter card. You look to the top 2, put one of them among your hand, and put the remaining into the gauge. And you may only cast this card if it's casted a spell during this turn. Another staple for all Magic World decks. So we play 3 copies of Sephiroth Lectures. Next, we play a spell that is a staple in all Gargantua Dragon decks, which is Dear Friend. You may drop a Dragon, then you may draw 2 cards. If 3 or more different Dragons in your drop, you draw a card. You draw an additional card. So essentially it's a draw 3. Or you can choose for this turn the damage you take is reduced by 3. So we play only 2 copies of Dear Friend in the deck. Next, we play a control spell in the deck called God Magic Nexen. This is your nullify abilities. Pay 1 gauge, and for this turn nullify our abilities on a monster on the opponent's field, or for this turn choose a monster on our opponent's field and it gets minus 5k power, 5k defense, and minus 1 critical. And you may only cast God Magic next turn once per turn. And you may only cast this if you have a Dragon on your field. So we only play 2 copies of God Magic next sense. Next, we play only just 1 copy of God Magic First Try. This is just technically your gauge earner. You basically charge 2 gauge and you may put a God Magic next turn from your jobs onto your hand. So yeah, a really basic retrieval spell for your God Magic next turn, and a really good gauge earner too, in a sense. Next, we play a staple in most decks, Future Card Buddyfight. This is your searcher for your buddy. You charge 2 gauge, you put a buddy from your deck into your hand, from the deck into the hand, or you counter if your opponent, or if you and your opponent have 5 life or less, you put an impact from your deck into your hand and shuffle your deck. And then at the start of your attack phase, when this attack card is in your buddy zone, a buddy on your field gets a critical +2, a staple in almost every deck in Buddyfight. So we play 2 copies of Future Card Buddyfight. Next, we play a Spell Recycler, Holy Magic. This is a really good Magic World staple as well. So you may return 3 or more different spells from your jobs onto your deck. If you do, you charge 2 gauge and you gain 2 life. If you return 6 or more, you draw 2. And even if you return 9 or more, you do 3 damage to your opponent. A really strong Magic World spell for Magic World. So yeah, you may only cast Holy Magic once per turn. So we play 2 copies of Holy Magic. Next, we play just 1 copy of Trio. This is your monster retrieval, a really basic one. You just pay 1 gauge, 1 life, and you put a monster from your job into your hand. You can cast this once per turn. So we only play 1 copy of Trio together with the combo of having more sets of having more spells in the job zone in combo with Holy Magic to charge 2, draw 2, and shoot your opponent 3 damage. So we play only 1 copy of Trio. Next, we again play 1 copy of Dream Tester. This is your item searcher or your counter gain 5 life, a really basic spell. So just pay 1 gauge, you search for an item for your deck to your hand, or you gain 5 life. Again, in combo with Holy Magic, so we play 1. And then now we only play just 1 spell now. This is the Magic World spell now, Abracadabra. You pay 2 gauge and you may only cast this card when your opponent casts a spell. You nullify the spell casted by your opponent. Just a really basic spell now. So we play 1 copy of Abracadabra. Then we only play just 1 copy of Teachings of the Fighting Emperor. You may you put the top card of your deck into your gauge for each DD giant child monster on your field, and if it's a dragon on your field, you draw 1. So it's essentially a charge to draw 1. You may cast this once per turn. So technically a really good draw spell. So we just play 1 of Teachings of the Fighting Emperor. Now we play 2 copies of Great Spell Circle of DD Dragon. This is your spell fetcher from your job zone. Basically, at the start of your opponent's turn, choose a spell in your job zone. You may drop a hand card and put the chosen card into your hand. A really strong set spell for Magic World. So we play 2 copies of Great Spell Circle of DD Dragon. Next, moving on to the generics, we play just 2 copies of Grace of the Sun DD. This is a really strong spell. So it's for this turn you cannot take damage by opponent's card's effect. Which counters most impacts in the game. Or choose a card on the field, and for this turn the chosen card cannot be destroyed, leave the field, and its shows cannot be dropped or returned to the deck by opponent's card's effect. A really strong staple for almost all Buddyfight decks in the game. So we play 2 copies of Grace of the Sun DD. Next, we play 2 copies of Buddy Block. This is another staple in most of the Buddyfight decks. So you just pay 1 gauge. For this turn, the next damage you take is reduced by 3. Okay. Then if your opponent's attack 4 or more times during this turn, for this turn you will not take damage. You will not take damage from attack. So it's a really good combo together with Grace of the Sun DD. So we play 2 copies of Buddy Block. Next, we only play just 1 copy of Loyalty. This is your control. This is a generic control spell. Mainly, we focus on the last ability. For this turn, your opponent cannot call more than 3 monsters. Drop a soul from a monster on an opponent's field. Or for this turn, the next damage you take is reduced by 2. A good control spell. So we play 1 copy of Loyalty. Next, we play just 1 copy of Recover Veil. This is your gauge. This is the charge gauge, or to prevent dropping hands by opponent's card effects. So you pay 1 life, you may prevent your opponents from dropping your hand cards, or you counter charge 2 gauge, or you For the next for this turn, the next damage you take is reduced to 0. So it's a really strong generic, used in most decks too. So we play 1 copy of Recover Veil. Moving on to the re-S spells, we play 2 copies of Great Spell Devil's Rock and Roll re-S. This is a really strong spell for Magic World, a staple. It is a staple in Magic World right now. Every Magic World deck needs to play at least 2 of this. So the cast card is just drop a hand card, look at the top 5 cards in the deck, put up to 2 monsters, 1 spell, and 1 item from among them to your hand, and shuffle your deck. So it's a really strong Magic World spell, and I only played 2 of it. So yeah, we play 2 copies of Great Spell Devil's Rock and Roll VS. Next up, we play a 10th anniversary spell. It could be this card can be used in almost any deck, honestly, as you can use in almost any deck. So during your opponent's turn, you have 7 less cards in your hand, return up to 3 cards from your hand into your deck and shuffle it. So it's basically a anti-break, then gain 1 and draw 1 for each card returned. So you could essentially return 3 cards from your hand to your deck, and then gain 3 and then draw 3 to filter out your hands or unneeded hand cards at the start of the game. So a really strong card. Or for this turn, choose up to 3 cards at the same attribute as your buddy as they get power plus 20k and critical plus 1, or return any amount of monsters and items from your job zone into your deck and shuffle it. So essentially this is a unbreak, a pump for your power and critical, or a deck reset. So it's a really strong card for Magic World. So we play 2 copies of the 10th anniversary spell itself. Then we only play 1 copy of Solomon's Shield. This is your anti-FTK spell, or your return or bounce a card from the field to your hand. So it's just draw a card, return up to 1 card from the field to an owner's hands, or the next damage you take becomes 0, and the next damage you take by card's effects is also 0. So we play 1 copy of Solomon's Shield. Next, moving on to the items, we play 3 copies of Shooting Star of Blue Flame Blade Garbloom. This is the Ragnarok item. So essentially, if there's a size 2 or greater drag out monster on your field, aka your DD Gargantua Dragon Rebi, all DD Dragon type on the field cannot be destroyed or leave the field, and their abilities cannot be nullified by their current effects. A really strong item. Then Magical Chain, during each player's attack phase, when a monster with G level enters your field, put up to 1 spell from your deck into your hand. A really strong ability. So we play 3 copies of Shooting Star Blue Flame Blade Garbloom. Then coming on to the final card, we just play 1 copy of DD Gargantua Punisher. This is your FTK impact. In that case is where you may only cast a card if you cast a spell 5 life or less, and if you drag a monster in the field, pay 2 and deal 5 damage. Cannot be nullified and cannot be reduced. Just a basic DD Gargantua Punisher in most Garga decks. So that concludes the Dramagi deck profile. So if there's any comments on how to improve this, do let me know. In the previous video, I forgot to put up the whole like picture thing for the deck profile for you all to copy if you all want to. So I'll make sure to do that right now, so it'll be here somewhere. So yeah, I'm gonna flash it up for a few moments, and yeah, goodbye.